Donald Trump is spiraling out of control on Friday morning as Canada is firmly standing up to him after his tantrum on Thursday night, where Donald Trump said, "We are terminating all trade negotiations with Canada because I don't like an ad that the province of Ontario is running in the United States, where they're using an address that Ronald Reagan gave to the United States when he was in office, where Ronald Reagan said that he supports free trade and doesn't like tariffs." Donald Trump says, "That's fake. That's a fake video." Trump says, "Everybody knows that Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. He was the biggest supporter of tariffs." Okay, Donald. First off, the video was real of Ronald Reagan. The audio was real of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan despised tariffs, and the full speech shows that he despised tariffs even more than was actually in the commercial that was only like 1 minute in length. So Prime Minister Carney said, "I'm not listening to Trump's noise. We could only control what we can control in Canada, where there are areas to try to reach agreements with the United States. Sure, we're going to explore those, but we've moved on. We're looking to other trading partners across the world, and we're building those relationships." Similarly, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, he just reposted the full speech of Ronald Reagan, and he was like, "Listen to it for yourself if you want to hear it." Ronald Reagan believed that the United States and Canada should be close partners. And so listen to it for yourself. But nobody's backing down right now in Canada. No one's scared of Donald Trump. So what's Donald Trump doing this morning? Continuing to rage post over and over again. You had this post right here that he made like 4 a.m. in the morning. He goes, "Canada cheated and got caught. They fraudulently took a big buy ad saying that Ronald Reagan did not like tariffs, when actually he loved tariffs for our country and its national security. Canada is trying to illegally influence the United States Supreme Court in one of the most important rulings in the history of our country. Canada has long cheated on tariffs, charging our farmers as much as 400%. Now they and other countries can't take advantage of the U.S. any longer. Thank you to the Ronald Reagan Foundation for exposing this fraud. Make America great again." As I pointed out on the video that I made earlier this morning, the Ronald Reagan Foundation has now been captured by Trump and MAGA sycophants, not the Reagan family. It's run by a guy named David Trulio, who had a job in the first Trump administration, after that, he actually worked for Fox Media. So that's the type of people who are running the Reagan Foundation. It was a closely coordinated attack on Canada with Donald Trump. And, I encourage everybody to watch the full video of what Ronald Reagan said, because Ronald Reagan despised tariffs, and he said as such, and he was a free trader, is what Ronald Reagan was. Then Donald Trump posts in all caps as he's rage posting this morning, "The United States is wealthy, powerful, and nationally secure again, all because of tariffs. The most important case ever is in the United States Supreme Court. God bless America," all in caps. Actually, we've never been weaker. 99% of the country suffering right now. I know you're billionaire oligarch buds who are out there building data centers and trying to replace actual labor with AI and destroying people's lives. They're doing okay. They may be doing a little better, but overwhelmingly Americans are suffering. Things are far less affordable as a result of your behavior. Just to remind you, this is what Donald Trump posted late last night. The Reagan Foundation just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75,000. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA based on their egregious behavior. All trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So Donald Trump's chief economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, was asked, "Did you watch this ad?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. Here, play this clip."
Using it now to get it back under control.
And then on this ad that President Trump was referring to up in Canada and Ronald Reagan, have you seen the ad, sir, yourself?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Mr. Hassett, sorry, it was hard to...
This morning, Prime Minister Carney was asked about Donald Trump's post and Donald Trump saying that he's terminating all trade negotiations with Canada. And Prime Minister Carney of Canada basically gave no oxygen to the Trumpian drama, Stephen Mayer says. He just says, look, we've said this before. We can only control what we can control here in Canada. If the U.S. wants to talk about certain sectors where there's an overlap, happy to have those conversations, but I don't listen to all of that noise. And that's exactly how you do it. Watch Prime Minister Carney here play this clip.
All right, good morning. Look, for months, we have stressed the importance of distinguishing things we can control and things we can't control. We can't control the trade policy of the United States. We recognize that that policy has fundamentally changed from the policy in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s. And it's a situation where the United States has tariffs against every one of their trading partners to different degrees. And it's in that context that our officials, my colleagues, have been working with their American colleagues on detailed, constructive negotiations, discussions on specific transactions, specific sectors, steel, aluminum, and energy. And a lot of progress has been made. And we stand ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress when the Americans are ready to have those discussions, because it will be for the benefit of workers in the United States, workers in Canada, and families in both of our countries. Now, what we can control, absolutely, is how we build here at home. And that's the focus of Budget 2025, generational investment here in Canada. And what we can also control, or at least heavily influence, is developing new partnerships and opportunities, including with the economic giants of Asia, which is the focus of this trip.
Now, just so you can all see for yourself once again, first I'm going to show you a speech from Ronald Reagan. This one's in 1988. This is not the speech that's in the commercial. This is a speech that he gave a year later. I could show you dozens, perhaps hundreds of Reagan speeches like this. I'm just going to show you a small portion of it, but you could do your own research on what Reagan's views on tariffs were, which he did not like tariffs. But here's what he said in 1988. This is very much real. Here, play this clip.
Our peaceful trading partners are not our enemies. They are our allies. We should beware of the demagogues who are ready to declare a trade war against our friends, weakening our economy, our national security, and the entire free world, all while cynically waving the American flag. The expansion of the international economy is not a foreign invasion. It is an American triumph, one we worked hard to achieve, and something central to our vision of a peaceful and prosperous world of freedom.
Okay, now I'll show you what Trump and now the Reagan Foundation, which has been taken over by Trumpers, this is what they're saying is fake. They're saying it's not real. Now, to be fair, Ronald Reagan says that there would be a need in a very exigent emergency situation to impose a tariff on Japan in response to their behavior at that time. But what Reagan says is that this has to be the most delicate action that a president can ever take, and that it should be temporary. And by and large, tariffs are the worst thing that you can do. So if you do it, it has to be surgical and then get rid of it right away. Try to achieve it right away, but tariffs are bad. The whole point of the speech, tariffs are bad, and he's addressing the nation to let people know how much he doesn't like tariffs. Here, play this clip so you can hear him just for yourself. Let's play this clip.
Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is First, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. Well, I've never forgotten those jobs, and on trade issues, by and large, we've done well.
Ever wake up sweaty, freezing, or just uncomfortable? The temperature in your bedroom can make or break your sleep. That's why I switched to Miracle Made sheets. They're inspired by NASA technology and use silver-infused temperature-regulating fabric to help you sleep perfectly all night long. Miracle Made sheets are crafted with NASA-inspired, silver-infused fabric that helps regulate your body temperature. Hot sleeper, cold sleeper, it doesn't matter. These sheets help keep you in the comfort zone all night long. Thanks to their antibacterial silver technology, Miracle Made sheets stay cleaner and fresher up to 3 times longer than regular sheets. That means fewer odors, fewer wash cycles, and way less laundry. They feel just as good, if not better, than sheets you'd find at a 5-star hotel, but without the steep price tag. Smooth, breathable, and ridiculously comfortable. Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40%, and when you use promo code Meidas, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make an amazing gift. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. That's trymiracle.com/Meidas, code Meidas at checkout. Thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring this episode.
And just to give you another data point quickly about like the types of things that the Reagan Foundation is now posting, they post videos like this so you can see how much they've been captured by MAGA. Eric Trump discusses how Elon Musk saved free speech when he bought Twitter. Watch the full conversation here. So it's promoting like Eric Trump and Elon Musk. I just want to give you a flavor of what the Reagan Foundation has become. Now, the statement that was put out by the Reagan Foundation yesterday, which was obviously in close coordination with Donald Trump, who is looking for any frickin' pretext yet again to go after Canada because Trump wants to conquer Canada. He wants to take the sovereignty away of Canada. He wants to make Canada the 51st state. So whether it's an ad or whether it's Canada supporting a free Palestine or whether it's whatever, Trump's going to come up with some reason to say trade negotiations are off. Here's what the Reagan Institute or Reagan Foundation posted. They said, the Ronald Reagan Foundation and Institute learned that the government of Ontario, Canada, created an ad campaign using selective audio and video of Ronald Reagan delivering his radio address to the nation on free and fair trade, dated April 25th, 1987. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address, and the government of Ontario did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. We encourage you to watch Reagan's unedited video on our YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch it too, or just watch it. I mean, I'm no fan of Reagan personally, but when it comes to free trade, he supported free trade and he was against tariffs. The very address was called Radio Address to the Nation on Free and Fair Trade. That's what it was called because it was supportive of free and fair trade and against tariffs. Then it says over here that the government of Ontario did not seek or receive permission to use and edit the remarks. It is it's in the public domain. And you don't have to ask me, is it in the public domain? When you go to that YouTube site that they give, it says access restrictions, unrestricted. Use restrictions, unrestricted. And it just says credit Reagan Library. Okay, so that's what you got to do. But it's unrestricted use. So more just Trumpian litigation. What are you going to sue the province of Ontario? You're going to sue Doug Ford right here. So then Kevin Hassett was making more rounds on the morning shows. And Kevin Hassett says, one of the bigger issues, setting aside this ad, he's the chief national economic advisor for Trump, just so Hassett, so you know who he is. He goes, is that Canada was really not being very collegial in their discussions with us. Donald has just not liked the way the Canada discussions have been going. Okay, here, play this clip.
What's going on with Canada? Here is the Truth Social posted last night. Canada cheated and got caught. They fraudulently took a big buy ad saying that Ronald Reagan did not like tariffs, when actually he loved tariffs for our country and its national security. I've seen the video going back to the 80s from the Presidential Library. What's with this latest spat, and how far does it go?
Well, I don't think that anything that the President truthed yesterday is about just one thing. The fact is that the negotiations with the Canadians have not been very collegial. They've not been going well. I think the president's very frustrated. He wants a great deal with Canada, just like he wants a great deal with Mexico. But a sign of how difficult the Canadians have been is that we're now kind of negotiating with the Mexicans all by themselves rather than looking at all three.
I'm sorry to jump in here. I'm just trying to get nothing. I got one more thing to get to here, and they're trying to wrap me. Was that a point of negotiation that we saw last night? Is that what that is?
I think the president's very frustrated with Canada, and he has a right to be, and I think that's what that is.
Okay. On the shutdown.
And then just so you see how Fox Business, and I put that in quotes, tries to frame this issue, you have the host Varney. He's like, so Trump announced that all trade talks with Canada would be off after Canada produced a fake video. Even the framing of it, Canada didn't make a fake video. Ronald Reagan was not supportive of tariffs. Like, what are we talking about? The video is Ronald Reagan's speech. It's Ronald Reagan's voice. But you see how Fox adopts Trump's framing as though, I guess this was a fake video. So what's your response to Canada's fake video? It wasn't a fake video. By the way, back in April, China, the Chinese embassy to the U.S., posted the same video as well. But anyway, here, play this clip.
Trump announced all trade talks with Canada have been called off because of an alleged fake ad that showed Ronald Reagan bad-mouthing tariffs. Okay, the president's angry about this. He immediately just said, no more talks with Canada. But where do we go from here?
Well, I mean, the president, I'm sure, has his reasons. There have been a lot of talks with Canada. I've been involved in some of them. And I think the president, probably more than anything, is frustrated with the progress that he's making with Canada. And sometimes when you're frustrated, a timeout is the right call. And the president's saying no talks with Canada. I would guess that at some point between now and the end of his term, he'll talk to Canada again. But yes, right now, I think there's been frustration with the behavior of the Canadians, the demeanor of the Canadians, the positions of the Canadians. And so it's probably a good time to take a break for a little while.
I think just while we're at it and we're talking about American foreign policy and how it's handling things, I'll just show you what Rand Paul just talked about regarding Donald Trump's other plan. In addition to trying to take over Canada, Trump's soon-to-be military invasion of Venezuela likely, and the fact that America keeps blowing up fishing boats, small, tiny fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia. Here, play this clip.
Number one, there is no fentanyl made in Venezuela. Not just a little bit, there's none being made in Venezuela. These are outboard boats that, in order for them to get to Miami, would have to stop and refuel 20 times. They're in all likely going to Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island right off of the coast of Venezuela. So there's a lot of reasons to be worried about this. But number one is the broader principle of when can you kill people indiscriminately? When you're at war. That's why when we declare war, it's supposed to be done by Congress. It's supposed to be thoughtful. It's supposed to be debated. And we're not supposed to do it willy-nilly. And then when you have war, you just kill people in the war zone. And even then there are rules of engagement. But interdicting drugs has always been a criminal activity and a criminal anti-crime sort of activity where we don't just summarily execute people. We actually present evidence and convict them.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. We'll keep you updated throughout the day.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.